Hey everyone, welcome to the latest edition of the Kolpak and Izzo podcast. As the FCS Playoffs return to Fargo, North Dakota State will open up the postseason Saturday at Gate City Bank Field of the Fargo Dome with a 2 o'clock kickoff as they take on the Abilene Christian University Wildcats, the champions of the United Athletic Conference. And they beat Northern Arizona, the 15 seed in the opening round of the tournament, 24-0 last Saturday to get a date in Fargo. Their second trip to the state of North Dakota in 3 years. They actually were up here 2 years ago, played the University of North Dakota, and a heck of a game that UND ended up winning by 3. Jeffrey, it almost seems like the football game is like 8th on my list of topics today. It has been a newsy week here since Thanksgiving holiday wrapped up.
Kind of expected that, though, didn't we?
I
mean, it was signing day.
I thought next week we'd get the craziness.
The portal starts next week, so stay tuned for that. I don't know if any Bison are going to go in. I wouldn't be surprised. Certainly some players who haven't played or don't have a chance. I mean, I always look for that. But, with Cole Wisniewski, with that settled, which I think is a good thing, just settle it.
Yeah, I think the way Tim Polisic answered your question on Tuesday was as definitive a statement as there's going to be about it. I think he put an exclamation, but a period at the end of what has been a...
We're moving on, and he said it with emphasis.
Yep, it's been an ongoing story here for the last 4.5 months. And I'll go back... You and I asked Tim about this at the end of the Murray State game. He says, don't talk to me about it for 9 weeks, 8-9 weeks. And Murray State marked 9 weeks. So that's when we asked him. He said, yeah, well, he's progressing. We're going to see. And then he brought it up himself at the press conference on Wisniewski that following Tuesday. And that's why we had asked the way we had about where things were at. And again, things looked like they were trending that he was going to play and he was going to potentially return in 2025, and obviously something changed over the last couple of weeks.
He was cleared to play, right? He was cleared.
Yep. As far as we can tell.
As far as what we've been told and can tell, he was cleared to play. And somebody got in his ear where, okay, they probably said, if you're going to go in the portal, why would you play? Why would you risk further injury?
Yeah.
I'm guessing. Yeah. All we can do is guess.
Or speculate at this point.
Speculate is a good word for it. I mean, if this was 10 years ago, he'd be playing, right?
There's no doubt.
You would think.
To further enhance one's draft status, yeah. But again, 10 years ago is
coming back next year.
Yeah.
I mean,
so there's a finality to it now. I don't know if any of the Bison players were holding out hope that maybe he could come in and rescue them and on the back end of the Bison secondary and lead them to Frisco, Texas. I don't know if anybody was pie in the sky thinking about that. I'm sure Bison fans were, Jeff, and that's probably why when the news came out Monday, it may have blindsided them more than anything. Even in this era where we've become so accustomed to people leaving, I still think some were blindsided when this news came out Monday.
Well, I think when you saw him on the sideline all year, you saw him where NDSU rehabbed him,
have a headset on.
His trainers or the Bison trainers put all that effort into him, and that to me is almost a little bit of the unfair stuff about it. Where the Bison training staff behind, we don't see that stuff. That's just the ungodly work they do with the whole team. And to me, that just doesn't seem right. But that's the way it is.
It's not going to be the last time either. Nope. I know we've said this for the better part of 3 years. The first time when it happened 2 years ago when the playoffs are getting ready to start and DJ Hart, Dom Ganella, Marquis Siegel went in the day after the regular season ended. And that was stunning and shocking. And we told people then, hey, buckle up. This is just the start of it. And here we are 2.5 years later. And I still think it's jarring for some, maybe not as much as it was a couple years ago.
Me personally, okay, this is just me. I question his toughness. I do. I question his toughness. He was clear to play. He could have played maybe special teams against South Dakota somewhere. I just think there was just a factor there where...
Yeah, I don't... Knowing Cole a bit from his time here, I know he wants to be as close to perfect or 100% as he can be. I think that was the holdup a couple years ago when the Achilles injury that we asked Matt Entz about that. How many times? Like, hey, when do you think Wisniewski's going to be back? And Matt had a similar answer to that Polisic did. He would get Don't know. Just waiting what the trainers are going to tell me.
Right.
Not sure. Waiting what the trainers are going to tell me. And could he have come back 3 weeks prior to he did? We don't know. But I think this played out in terms of the injury and the rehab very similar to how the Achilles return did 2 years ago.
You forgot.
You're
100%.
The same way on that. I remember because we asked Matt how many weeks on that because Cole had the Achilles injury in February, right? And probably 7-8 months. It was going to be right around late September, early October. And that he came back at the end of October of 2022. So,
all right, let's move on.
It's over and done with. But
I'm done with it too.
To your point, the portal opens on Monday. Technically, it'll be like 11:59 Sunday night. I would imagine there's going to be a handful of Bison players that are there that are not impact guys or can't see the field. The other question is, are there other guys that are impact guys that could potentially go in there? Because there's a newly minted Jerry Rice Award winner that just happened yesterday. That if you're we had Jay Bartley in here yesterday on our signing day show for the Green and Gold Collective, and I said it, I wasn't kidding. All right, you better open up the pocketbook because that guy's going to want some more or going to need some more because the vultures are going to come, Jeff.
Yep. I have no answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but the collective is more established now than it was
at this time last year.
In the days of the Kobe Johnson and those things. Absolutely.
And certainly last year, even when they were fending off Gray Zabel and Cole Wisniewski at this time last year. But that, I think fans should be prepped for that if you see Marty Brown's name on Monday, and I don't know anything about, there's no inside insider here. It just don't be, hands to the sky. And I can't believe that would happen, but that's the day and age of it. I heard a couple different interviews and radio interviews this week about, well, can't they move it the window till after the season? They can't do that. They can't. Coaches need to know who's going to be on their. They have to know, and especially now in an era where jobs are open now, you cannot wait till the middle of January to open up the portal. It just does not work that way.
Plus, school starts after Christmas, after New Year's, yes. So you have that element too.
That's not a feasible option here. Having when it's at. Is it the best time? I don't know about that. You could debate the.
Well, it is certainly academically. I mean,
right, correct.
And I guess they still go to school.
Correct. That is the thing we have to remind everybody about out there, that there is that element to it. So it's the timing stinks. Especially it's catered towards the big boys. The FCS is not thought of about when the portal window calendar. They don't care that the playoffs are going on. That's irrelevant to them. Now that they have their own playoff, it might be different. There's going to be years where the playoff isn't as late as it is on the calendar this year. That would be a sticky wicket. Then if you see a guy who's playing for Clemson decides starter, I'm going to go into the portal the week of their playoff game. Then
that will happen.
Right.
Yes.
Then let's have a discussion about when the windows are after that. I will say one thing I want to clean up that I mentioned on Hot Mic earlier. The proposed elimination of the spring window was defeated by the oversight committee, which rarely that happens. Normally, if it gets proposed, it's going to go through. So it is shortened, though. So there's 20 days in December and then 10 days in April, Jeff, the 19th through the 15th through the 26th, 16th through the 25th in April. So there's still 30, but it's down from 45 to 30. So the amount of time you have to make a decision is down from what it was last year as well.
I would be good just for a one portal window, but again,
which I think may happen.
Yeah,
I do on that. And the flip side, because we're only going to have one portal window, we may have 3 signing days coming soon because I think the coaches want to have a June signing period.
I mean, there's got to be some regulation here. These players are making really good money and big money. There's got to be a two-way street there too now.
Yep.
So okay, we're giving you $100,000. But we need to know that you're going to be here.
You're going to come.
You can't leave in April.
You're right. Yep.
So there's got to be a two-way street. There's got to be some regulation there.
The answer to that is contracts. And then we're going down
employees.
Right. And then they become employees, and then we're talking unions. Right. Then we're talking unions, and then I'm way over my head and over my skis on stuff.
Certainly no longer amateur athletes.
Correct. Which you would argue they're not that anyway.
They're not,
but,
exactly.
But that's the road that we're heading down. We're heading down the roads of contracts. We're heading down the road of labor unions, and It's going to get wild.
And I hope these guys have accountants.
I would hope so.
It ain't tax-free there,
or some
son.
sort of attorney that's helping them out on that. All right, two other things off the field before we actually talk about the football game. Two Bison coaches, former Bison coaches, in the news this week. Let's start with Brent Vigen. On Tuesday, I think everything was pointing, Tuesday morning, that Vigs was going to get the Fresno State job. And then by Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, Matt Entz is the favorite and now named the new head coach of Fresno State.
That switched quick. And the speculation, I think, was correct on Vigen being the front. Now, I don't know if he turned it down or we don't know, what the circumstances were there. But Matt came on the scene pretty quick, and it was a done deal. Now, there's some stuff to do there. I mean, they have a lot of players who have left.
Yep.
Their interim coach, Tim Skipper, was pretty popular, I think, with a lot of people. They're also just a 500 team,
right?
And they need to up their financial game. They are one of the lowest funded, not only in the Mountain West now, but certainly they'll be in the Pac-12.
Yeah. Yep. But that's a good football. I mean, Kalen DeBoer was there and obviously had some great success. That's a good job, as you mentioned, going to the Pac-12. I'm infinitely curious who Matt brings with him. What his staff is going to look like.
Is Tyler Roll? He's going to have to do a lot of West coaches, a lot of California coaches.
Because I think going to this part of the world is probably not the way you want to go about it. And I don't know how Matt's been out there now for a year, what kind of connections he has in the western part of the country.
I sometimes wonder when Dale Lennon took the job at Southern Illinois, if he would have done it over again, not to take so many UND coaches with him and get more assistants who have recruited that area of the country more. I don't know if he would do that, do things different. But I on that note, if you're Matt Entz, you can't be plucking all these guys from the Midwest that you used to know. Your Winona guys, your NDSU guys.
Right. The trouble is now, you mentioned Tyler. Tyler's making probably pretty good money as an assistant head coach at Iowa State. I mean, those jobs now, Jeff, they pay pretty well. And
I don't know if he'd want to leave Ames.
Right.
Yeah, right. He's only been there a year.
Right.
Give the commitment. But Matt's that's gonna be a big deal in finding his staff. I'm sure he'd love to have Jamar Cain.
Absolutely, but Jamar's in the NFL.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not coming back from the NFL, man. That doesn't work like that. That's why you see so many college coaches leaving now to go to the NFL. Of everything we just talked about, all the rigors of what the college football game is now. Guys are saying, screw it. I rather the NFL. I know my calendar. I know where my team is. It's way easier than what the college football game is.
Yeah. Did Matt make enough contacts in his 1 year at Southern California? Less than 1 year at Southern California.
Yeah, that's quite. I mean, he obviously knows a ton of people as well. So I'll be awfully intrigued to see how his staff and then the players he gets. That's we were just speculating a little bit on the signing day show yesterday about what the recruiting area is. We've already seen a bunch of former Bison coaches come back to this area, but but those coaches are in the Midwest. Chris Kleiman's in Manhattan, Kansas. David Braun's in Evanston, Illinois. Not Fresno, California. And that's a different animal to recruiting football players.
As of this recording, we haven't seen the contract details for Matt, but we believe it's a 5-year deal.
Yes.
That's what the national outlets are reporting. We haven't seen a figure, but it's got to be at least 1.5 to 2.
I'd say in that range. Yep. Absolutely. And will go up when they enter the Pac-12 in 2026. Again, a reminder that Fresno is joining. They're leaving the Mountain West and joining the Pac-12 with Washington State and Oregon State. And they'll see Boise will be there. Their friends from San Diego State will be there. Utah State. That's the other open job. That's why I think for Vigs that maybe Utah State
seems like it
might be the spot for the newly named Eddie Robinson Award winner, which came out today.
Man, if you're Utah State, how can you not?
Right. Yep.
How can he not be your leading contender?
Especially Vigs knows it after 5 years at Wyoming with Craig. I mean,
he's been there.
Yes, correct.
He's been in that area.
Yes. Yep. If that's a no-brainer to me if I'm Utah State, and that's again, there's a program that's Jordan Love's alma mater. That's a program that's won. That's a good job too. That's going into the Pac-12. If I'm Utah State, I've got my plane going to Bozeman.
Now, I know Brent and Molly's son just signed a letter of intent with Montana State. And so you have that. You have that tug there, that coaching.
And obviously, Matt Entz's son just doing that right now. Kellen's up there in his third year at NDSU and did it a whole year without his dad.
But Matt left because, I mean, even though his son was here, he left. If you're Brent Vegan, you have to just tell your family. I would think, hey, son, sorry, this is $2 million a year.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
This is $10 million over 5 years.
And I think people have to remind themselves that Viggs had 5 years with Craig as an OC. He's also got the ultimate calling card, Jeff. He's the guy who recruited Carson Wentz and Josh Allen. He can say, I can go into an interview room, and by the way, I found both of these guys. I developed both of them who were in the NFL, who were top 7 NFL picks.
I've developed Tommy Millott, who is Walter Payton finalist, if not the winner.
Yep.
We will find out.
Yep.
But yes.
I think that's a no-brainer. I would be really surprised if Viggs doesn't get a job in this cycle. And there's some other jobs open that are pretty good. North Carolina's open. I don't think he's getting North Carolina, but there is some...
He saw something in Brock Jensen.
He did.
That a lot of people did
not.
Brock was at he was at Duluth.
Yeah, nobody saw, frankly, in the Division I level
out
of Brock Jensen. So something to keep an eye on there as the coaching cycle. Again, it's the silly season there. Quick word on signing day. Bison signed 32 guys yesterday. So I had Keith Patterson on, the Abilene Christian coach. He said they do nothing with the early signing day. He said there's so many players out there. We'll wait. He said, to me, signing day is the first Wednesday in February. That's for us.
That's interesting.
I know it. I'd never heard that before in the last 6 years since the early period came about.
I think it goes to speak how many players there are in Texas.
Correct.
Goes to speak of the transfer portal.
Yep.
They've hit it. They've hit pretty good on the transfer portal. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yep.
With Maverick McIver, he hit it. With some other players, they've hit it. So good. So it's
isn't that an interesting strategy though?
It's an interesting philosophy.
Yeah. He said we don't worry about it. He said I had no idea it was signing day. That's
whatever.
But I know. But he's like, that's not our concern. We'll wait and say, wow, that guy's still available. We'll go get him. So that's the way they go about it. But
on NDSU signing day, and I have no data to back this up other than some of the stars you see with players. But I feel like, Dom, this is the best signing class I've seen at NDSU in the Division I era. I just feel like it.
Talent-wise, it certainly looks like it.
Well, star-wise, I know 16 guys are 3 stars.
Correct. So whatever
that means, again, I don't take a whole lot of stock in that, and most people don't or shouldn't. But, I totally expected more guys to get poached.
Yeah. I would say don't look at the stars. Look who else is offering them. The Bison had Washington State offer three separate guys. And I know Washington State has a direct connection. Jake Dickert's another former Bison assistant who's the coach of the Cougars. A bunch of MAC schools. There's a bunch of other FBS schools that offered these guys. That's what I look at. Like, who else is offering them? If there was one other school, like, all right, but look at the laundry list of other schools.
Iowa State offered this kid, but dropped off after, who was that, Clubb?
Brody Clubb.
Yep. After he got hurt.
Nebraska was Ryan Babbitt's, and that dropped off. Again, there was initial interest there. They were enough to offer him a scholarship. And I think at this point, you want to drum up the rivalry. Look how many guys went head-to-head with South Dakota State. How many did they win there? I think that's more what they're counting up at the Bison football offices. Okay, how many guys did we offer at the South Dakota State offered? How many did we get? How many did they get? It's almost right down the middle, I think, from my counting in 2025.
So South Dakota State got half, NDSU got half?
Pretty much.
Roughly.
I know the Bison flipped one, obviously, the late one with Elijah Wayne that they're really excited about of Omaha. Trillin Sorrell is a corner out of Edina that signed with the Jacks yesterday that I know that was a hotly contested player right up to the wire. But the Bison flipped another one with Damian Devine. He was a South Dakota State offer as well. He committed to Villanova, but now he's signed with the Bison. That's what I think. If you're out there and it's hard for you to evaluate high school guys, I would say look at who was offering those guys. And I think we had their quarterback on yesterday. Mm-hmm. Xander Smith's an impressive young man.
Mature young man.
Yep. He's got a big arm, too. He can move. This team is playing in the highest class of Florida high school football.
He had the beard of like a 23-year-old.
He did look like an older guy.
I mean,
there's no
this
doubt.
Guy is going to – he looks like he'll come in and maturity-wise and mentality-wise, he's ready to go right off the bat.
As you mentioned and you wrote about, he's coming here in January. He and Money Mitchell are going to be here in January. That's a head start on getting access to the field, I would have to think.
He looked like a big dude, man, too.
Money?
No.
Oh, Xander. Yeah, he's a big dude. Money can move as well. Yeah. That's his new nickname. We went with that, right? That's what we're going with, Money Mitchell. Should we actually chat about the game?
Yeah, who are they playing again?
I'm intrigued on this because
I am too.
Of what they bring to the field. And Maverick McIver is going to be back, their standout quarterback, transfer from Texas Tech, 29 touchdowns, 5 picks. He was a finalist for the Peyton. He missed last week. This guy can sling it, and he's got guys, they've got weapons on the outside too.
Well, and you look at their offense, they are 18th in the country in scoring offense, 5th in passing offense. That's pretty dang good. 3rd in total offense. I mean, they can score 34 points a game by the stats, and you're going, okay, these guys, they're going to come in, and this could be fun.
Yep.
Now, the difference is on the other side of the ball.
Okay, so give me the ranks on defense.
Scoring defense, 83rd. Passing defense, 100th.
That's not great.
Rushing defense, 77th. Total defense, 87th. And this is in a league that's
not known for its defense. No.
Okay.
No.
But they shut out Northern Arizona. So I'm getting I'm wondering about the Big Sky now.
I would, yeah. Northern Arizona wasn't very good.
They didn't play the Montana State, right?
Nope. No,
they didn't play Davis?
No, they did not. So they
played Montana. I forgot to look.
They did. They played Montana. They played Idaho.
Well, Montana is suspect.
Yeah. So I think this is what I wrote in our forum game section. I think ACU's offense is going to be fun to watch, but I think the Bison offense will be able to score at will. I believe that, especially what's that passing number again? Passing defense. What are they ranked?
100th.
Yeah. Cam Miller may
100
have
out of 123.
He may have opportunities to get the ball down the field to a Bryce Lance, to Braylon Henderson, to Chris Harris, who's just had I think a really, really nice year. That's the problem I see with ACU. How can they stop the Bison offense? And I'll get a sense on this, Jeff, that talking with a few of the players this week, that the South Dakota game is put to bed, but I think there's still some leftover feelings of how that game ended in Vermillion 2 weeks ago.
Well, if you're a competitor, yes. But I think they got over it pretty quick. And if you're still worried about that game, now it may leave a little re-energized motivation, which it should. But if that has any lingering effects, I highly doubt that.
Yeah.
It's a second season.
I am intrigued, though. You asked Tim Polisic about this, about his campaign to play with 12, to get butts in the seats. There are still plenty of tickets available. I think the number for me, if I'm guessing, is 11 or 12,000. There'll probably be there. That's his chart. I mean, he's one. I appreciate the effort. It's fantastic to see, but I don't see a buzz of people excited about this football game on Saturday. I don't think if they win this week, I don't think it will be next week either.
Well, it's no surprise. I mean, it's just the way it is now. Look, I mean, what did Montana draw for?
12.
12.
Yep.
It's not even half.
Thanksgiving week. Yeah, Thanksgiving weekend is just a no-go. The Bison had last year. They had 8,000 people for the Drake game. I mean, I've never seen it that empty.
But if it's 12, 12 could still make a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. I just maybe not the difference that the head football coach is wanting to see. And I don't know if it's going to get any better if they win the following week, if it's either Rhode Island or Mercer that's coming into town. That to me is again, we've hit that over the last few years of the playoffs, the larger issue of getting people there. They've done better. Marketing, I think, I've hit them over the last couple of years. I'll give them their flowers. They've been great this year. What they've done, the changes they've done on game day have all been really positive in my mind.
I don't know. If I worked at the YMCA, if I wasn't doing what I was doing, I would go. As a college football fan, seeing a guy who can sling it like McIver.
I want to see Cam Miller. I want to see Cam Miller play, frankly.
The Bison players, they have some fun guys to watch. Bryce Lance. It's college football. It's Saturday afternoon. It's going to be nice for December.
Yeah. Tailgate
I would go.
Really good.
What's the ticket? $40?
Yep. I'd do it.
Students are $7.
Yeah,
unless you're running a Polisic, you can grab one.
You drop a line about Wisconsin, he'll give it there for free. So, yeah, I'm interested to see what the student turnout is going to be on Saturday. Before we go, last year in this round, 7 of the 8 seeds won. The only one that didn't was Montana State, with NDSU winning. Looking at again, Vegas is what it is, but looking at the point spreads here, Jeff, we could have blowout city this weekend.
There's one game to keep an eye on.
Okay, which one is it?
Illinois State.
Okay, that's what
Cal
I thought
Davis.
too.
Yep.
Because everything else, I mean, this could be
is
boat
a
race
foregone
city,
conclusion.
right?
Yes.
I mean, we could have. I mean, Montana, South Dakota State. Is that a game? I don't think so.
No.
I think the Jacks
No.
win pretty easily there.
Unless they punt it to Junior Bergen 30 yards on a line and in the middle of the field.
The only game
That's the only issue they'll have.
The game I would think that may be a little bit more intriguing than we think is the winner of the Bison matchup plays either Rhode Island or Mercer. I think that one could be a little sticky there on Saturday. I know Rhodey did not play well against Central Connecticut State, but we'll see how they face
Mercer has
against
some
Mercer.
decent defense, although they gave up 50 to Sanford late in the year.
Villanova Incarnate Word. That get you going there?
No, CAA overrated.
Yeah, we found that out.
No.
Yeah, Montana State is only an 18-point favorite. I think they can set their score against Tennessee Martin in that game. USD is only a 17-point favorite against Tarleton. I say only. 17 points, a huge amount against Tarleton State.
I think Incarnate Word beats Villanova by 20.
Wow.
What's the spread?
That one was 7. Incarnate Word's a 7.5-point favorite.
If I were a gambling man, just leave it at that.
Idaho's a 16.5-point favorite over Lehigh in that game on Saturday night.
Well, I have more confidence now for whatever reason in the Patriot League than I do in the CAA.
Yep. Lehigh got a nice win over Richmond. By the way, they're going to be conference rivals next year because remember, Richmond is leaving the CAA to go.
Richmond wins the CAA and just falls apart.
Yep.
First
and
round.
frankly,
your CAA champ
Villanova should have lost to Eastern Kentucky.
Yeah.
The referees took that game away from Villanova at the end. So you're saying all chalk this weekend. No upsets?
I'm not saying that.
Oh.
I'm saying one road team will win. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay.
I can't give all my secrets.
All right. We'll see what happens. I hope we have one or two, but then does that lessen the next round?
Well, did you already put in your picks to Hopper for Saturday?
I did.
Okay, I picked Illinois State.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Like Spack's team there to go and
they're playing well late in the year. I mean, we're suspect because we saw them.
And we saw them at their worst
possible way they could play.
Yeah.
But looking at, I know SEMO was but I like the way they're playing. They went down on the road and handled SEMO. I don't think this road trip's going to.
All right.
And they're a Valley team.
Yeah.
They are a Valley team.
If they would win, they would get the winner of the Tarleton USD game. So we could have a Valley quarterfinal game in Vermilion with Illinois State and South Dakota. That could be spicy if that's happening. Reminder, we will be live with Bison Game Day, 10 a.m. Saturday morning inside the Dome, although it's going to be like 40 degrees on Saturday after we got like 5 right now. So
it's going to feel like 60 compared to what it did on Wednesday.
There's no doubt. Myself, Jeff, Sam Getzinger, Kyle Emanuel. And then the game is at 2 o'clock. Note the earlier start time because Bison men's basketball is at 7 o'clock. So the game is a half hour earlier. It's at 2 o'clock.
It's on ESPN Plus, so please email Dom with your complaints.
They don't email. They'll call now.
They'll call now.
You gave my number out, so people call me now. Yes, ESPN Plus for the game with Abilene and North Dakota State. We'll, of course, have full coverage on Inforum.com and WDAY after the game. For Jeff Kolpak, I'm Dom Izzo. That's the Kolpak and Izzo podcast. Thanks, everybody, for listening.